This week on the Gridiron, I'm Matt St. Jean. I'll be your host for this week, as Brooke, much like her beloved Browns, decided not to show up. With me, as always, is my buddy Jude Alum, and making a triumphant return to the show, Julian Wiggum. Welcome, boys. How we doing?
As good as you can get. It's cold in Syracuse.
Feeling good. Got that sauce dripping off me today.
Sauce dripping off.
Sauce.
I'm mentally sharp, ready to go.
Listen, Jude is claiming that
Here we go.
it's cold outside. He's not from south of the Mason-Dixon. He is from Brooklyn. It gets cold in Brooklyn. And apparently it's a different kind of cold up there.
Listen, I keep telling y'all, it's a different kind of cold out here. All right? It's cold. It gets cold in Brooklyn, but it's what, November, and it's already like it's gonna be touching mid 20 degrees. It snowed. Like, come on, man.
15 on Saturday, son. Nice and warm for you. Get the mitts out.
Get the mitts out.
I'm gonna stay my behind home is what I'm gonna do. Ain't no mitts over here.
Come outside and play, man.
That sounded creepy. Let's move on.
Come out and play.
Warriors, come out to play.
All right. So before we get into it, I have a tribute to do. My man Dante Hightower hit the IR this week.
Sad.
Patriots fans everywhere are sad. Everyone who enjoys defense, sad. You know, this is just a big loss for the NFL, so I brought out my jersey, and I will be wearing it in his honor. Yep, fix me. In his honor for the rest of the episode.
Are you really?
Dante, get better, bud.
Kind of.
We'll see you in 2018.
Kind of distracting, yeah.
Is it distracting?
Yeah.
Because I'm just emanating greatness?
It's an eyesore.
It's an eyesore, really?
Yeah.
We're like pretty close to the same colors. And the colors are red, white, and blue. Are you saying that red, white, and blue is an eyesore? If you don't like America, you can get out.
Moving on.
Ooh.
All right. Hold up. Wait a
Let's
minute.
go.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
As Jude said, let's segue into everyone's favorite segment. Hold up, wait a minute.
Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute.
All right.
Darn.
Well, we edited in after. All right. So first up, Jude, what had you saying hold up, wait a minute last weekend?
Let's see. The Giants and the Broncos. If you told me at the beginning of the season that they would give up 51 points in a game, I'd laugh at you. Last season, Giants were 10th in total defense, Broncos 4th, but both of them in the same week gave up 51 points. A 50 burger in the NFL, that's just the other team saying, you can't do anything to stop me, and that's basically what happened. The Rams ran up and down on the Giants. And then the Eagles, they just had a day on the Broncos. It was unbelievable to watch. And I usually love offensive football, high-scoring games, but both of those games just sickened me to my stomach. It was like maybe less with the Broncos, but with the Giants, they look like they just didn't really.
I mean, especially the Giants.
Okay.
But the Broncos, I mean, for me, I left all of my Eagles on the bench. Like Carson Wentz, bench.
Right.
Alshon Jeffrey, bench. I was like, I can't trust it against that Broncos pass defense.
That's usually how it is, but
at home, that was embarrassing.
Laid an egg, yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you right there, Jude. It's embarrassing for both those teams.
I gotta go with the UFC fights.
Hold up.
My man Jalen Ramsey getting picked up and thrown by.
It all comes back.
Way to go!
That was unexpected. And then we got Mike Evans, going UFC and knocking Lattimore out against the Bucks and Saints game.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is going on this week? But I love it. I like all of it. I want to see more. I need to see one guy get knocked out every week.
I want to see more guys get suspended.
Yeah, I like suspensions. I like when players go to jail. That tells me that you're an aggressive football player.
I like when players go to jail.
All right.
Wow.
It's not going.
Aggression on the football field. Let's just make that distinction.
Let me
Aggression on the
clarify,
football field.
If I'm a head coach and I'm creating a football team, this is terrible to say, but I want to, especially
Even worse than before.
No. if I'm drafting a defensive lineman, I want to be just slightly worried he might catch that DUI, that he might just catch that felony.
What?
No, but be the reasoning.
I get what you're saying, and you're just not really saying it well right now.
Oh, no, this is
Maybe not a DUI. Maybe you want him to catch an aggravated assault. It's better than a DUI. Like, I want him to be drunk. No, an aggravated assault. He gets into a bar fight. Okay, cool.
This is all I'm saying.
Listen. I'm gonna switch gears here for like 1 second. Let's all just say that we here at This Week on the Gridiron don't advocate for anyone to break the law in any capacity, no matter what it is, even if it's close. I don't even want you flirting with breaking the law.
I'm not advocating for you to.
Well, I want to ask you about the two fights, though. Jalen Ramsey goes after AJ Green, which is awesome. Second-year guy making a name for himself, going after the star. But then you have Mike Evans going after a rookie. Like, what is he thinking?
Well, that was just dumb by Mike Evans because he's going out there defending quarterback like chewing his fingers. I don't understand that.
I was gonna get into that.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But when a guy touches your quarterback, you're gonna go after him. I like that as a teammate, just like defending your quarterback, defending your guys. But I think it was a dumb decision by Mike. I thought the AJ Green and Jalen Ramsey situation was a little bit more interesting because one, AJ Green was the last receiver I thought would go after a corner and show that kind of aggression on the field. He's a very very relaxed guy. Very smart on the field, I would say, as far as reacting to guys who talk trash. Jalen Ramsey somehow got into his head. I don't understand how he did it. That post game conference Jalen Ramsey had last year against Steve Smith. I think he was giving a little bit of that to AJ Green, but he couldn't handle it. You got a dude talking about some, come on, let's do it. That little bit of zest can get to you.
I mean, and you as a defensive back, you like seeing that, like a defensive back like getting into his head immediately.
That's what you want. If you can get into a receiver's head, you can control his whole body. You control everything that he does on the field, and I think Jalen Ramsey's doing it. That's why he's. I think he.
That's why I used to like watching like Cortland Finnegan going up against Andre Johnson. Those battles back in the day. Yeah. Those two would go at it.
And that's the most fun. That's that ultimate I don't want to see it get to a fight and have those guys get ejected, but I love the competitiveness, especially on the outside. That's the one situation where it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano. I have to beat you, you got to beat me situation. So I love those one-on-one matchups, especially in the NFL.
And then for me, my hold up, wait a minute, is bringing it back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2-6 right now. They are awful. Their defense is bad, both pass and rush defense. Their offense is bad. What's his face? Who came back from suspension? I'm blanking on his name. The muscle hamster.
Oh, Doug Martin. Doug
Martin was supposed to, I always want to call him Foster, dude. So Doug Martin comes back and he sucks. And then Jameis is doing all these antics before the games. You can get away with those antics. I think it's the same situation with Cam Newton where like you can get away with those antics if you're winning.
Yeah.
If you're losing, you just gotta shut up and win ball games.
Yeah.
Because like you in the middle of a circle, like licking your fingers, say you're hungry for a win, like get out of here. And then you get blown out by New Orleans. Like he's gotta like take a look in the mirror and just be like, hey, I'm gonna go out there and play football. I don't need to be as boisterous of a leader off the field and with my voice. I need to start leading by my actions.
And one thing with Jameis Winston off of that is I think he actually went above and beyond what he usually is. Usually he's loud, but he has a very encouraging nature to him. He rallies his guys in his own way. It's not in such a colorful way like we saw last week. The I'm hungry for one with the fingers and everything. That to me in basic psychology tells us when you start to sway and make unnatural movements that we start to see from Winston, that you're nervous. You're a little worried about what's about to go on to this game. So I think he was actually showing nerves, and then that those nerves went into his usual character and took him to a notch that we're not used to seeing. Everybody was kind of thrown. You could see the guys watching like, what are you doing, man? Like, just being.
That reminds me of when he was at Florida State and he was like doing this big speech and like ESPN was covering it on SportsCenter, and I saw the teammates next to him like they had eye rolls during like the whole deal. It's like there's there's one thing in being a leader, and then there's another thing just trying to like get attention.
Yeah, for one, I know that when there was a guy in position of leadership and he was too boisterous, too colorful, almost egregious in his nature of how he would express himself. He's just like, bro, shut up. You know, it's just like calm down.
Especially when you're losing.
Especially, you don't want to hear it. It's when you're a guy, when you got a leader and the guy's just doing way too much, being extra on the field, and he's not doing enough on his part. You start to question that guy a little bit. Like, what are your real motives right here? He becomes hard to follow. So Jameis Winston, he's got a real problem right now with the guys following him, especially in NFL where the egos are very A-type. You know, that's a situation where you need to be on your P's and Q's because you can lose a locker room very quickly.
Very quickly. All right. That was hold up, wait a minute, let's segue. You know, we took the bye week last week, and it was actually a big week in terms of moves in the NFL.
Yeah.
It was the trade deadline, and there were some big ones. So let's talk the trades a week out. What were some of the big impacts for you, Jude?
I liked what the Seahawks did in trading for Dwayne Brown. I mean, that was always a point of concern for the Seahawks, their offensive line protecting Russell Wilson. They really haven't been able to do that. They showed it in the beginning stages of this season. He's only played one game, but already Russell Wilson wasn't as pressured as he has been in earlier games in the season. So I think that's definitely a step to make them a better team and, you know, just strengthen their case for being Super Bowl contenders.
So that's your big, Julian, what was your big trade?
I was disappointed by the J.J. trade by the Dolphins. I'm like, so y'all just going to concede the season and give it up? Like, you're done?
I still don't get that. That trade.
I mean, that's what they signaled to me, and, I mean, there's really no other justification for it. You're trading your best players for picks in this situation. So you're just saying, all right, we have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Jay Cutler isn't going to get it done for us this season. We're just going to go ahead and concede this one and rally up some draft picks for next year. But that's just disappointing to see as a fan. When you see your best players go. But I'm hoping Dolphins, they find a way to flip this thing around and hopefully get some, I'm not going to say wins this year, but hopefully use those draft picks to bolster their roster.
Well, I mean, apparently Ajayi was getting into it with Gase, and I think
frustration. I mean, he hasn't been performing.
I think Damian Williams and Kenyon Drake are going to be okay as a 1-2 tandem. I mean, they're no Ajayis, you know what I mean? Right. But at the same time, if you're Gase and you're kind of like teetering, like you can't have a guy that's frustrating and kind of or frustrated and being a negative locker room presence.
You know what I also don't get? Like, why would the Eagles make that trade? You already got Blunt, you got Clement, you got a stable of running backs, and you had Ajayi. I mean, I could understand.
But look what they did with him this week.
I mean, he did okay.
He had 80 yards and a touchdown.
Right, but they were just pouring it on the Broncos. I mean, it wasn't like he carried them to a victory or anything. Anybody they put back there was going to be able to run the ball that week. I mean, Clement. Who's Clement? Half the people don't know who he is, and he scored 3 touchdowns on the Broncos that week. I mean, I'm not going to say it was a great trade. I'm just saying he doesn't add a different dimension. Like, they already have his skill set with, one cut and up downhill running back style with LeGarrette Blount. They got a running back in Clement who can catch the ball. I mean, I just don't really see where he fits in.
So if you were the Eagles, what did you need to add then if you didn't want to add Ajayi? If that trade comes onto your desk, are you not doing it?
I don't think so. I try to get. If I'm the Eagles, I'm worried. I'm trying to win a championship because I'm hot right now. And offensively, I'm set. I'm good. I don't need any pieces on offense. I don't need to trade you anything for another offensive player. I'd be trading for defense because your secondary is where you're a little bit weak. I mean, your pass rush is hiding that for you. And, they're getting sacks. They're covering your cornerback's butts, basically. So I'm trying to get a cornerback so when my pass rush isn't working, I'm not leaving my cornerback susceptible to, having to stay in coverage for extended periods of time.
I think this trade was more of a depth concern going down this road. They're seeing that, okay, we can make a run into these players. We just want to have that depth at the running back position in the case that something happens where we feel good about what we have, but we want to solidify the situation because we know it's a long season. We know we're pounding these running backs. We want to have fresh legs going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, and especially when you get into kind of those grinded out NFC East games, which they do turn into sometimes. You want guys that they're in the backfield, you have linebackers and defensive linemen being like, oh, again. So it's like, oh, we have to tackle Ajayi. And then Ajayi gets a blow, and it's like, oh, here comes LeGarrette Blount. And they're constantly pounding the rock. So, and that's going to open up your pass game. As you saw, like Alshon Jeffrey had a huge game. And I like seeing that because he was on my fantasy team. Just not last week because he was on my bench. So I think it's going to wind up being a good trade because I mean you just add talent onto an already very talented offense.
It can, but I'm just thinking too, like he got traded from Miami because he didn't like his touches. He wasn't producing like he was used to. With so many mouths to feed, he's still not going to get touches. So how long is it before we start hearing, he's upset in Philadelphia? And then who knows, maybe LeGarrette Blount, he starts getting upset. I'm not getting my touches either. So I don't know, just could be a little situation happening over there.
Okay.
Saints running back like situation.
Another big trade. Calvin Benjamin going from the Panthers to the Bills.
Out of nowhere for me.
What is the front office doing with Cam Newton? Like they just don't give him any weapons.
Right. They're like what? They're betting a house on Curtis Samuel and what's the running back? McCaffrey. He's getting a whole bunch of targets and stuff like that.
I guess.
Funches, he's kind of stepping in, but he's always kind of been an up and down kind of receiver. Not really a number one. I haven't seen anything from him to say, he's a number one receiver. And you have a solidified number one receiver who goes up and gets the ball when Cam Newton is a guy who often overthrows his receiver. Kelvin Benjamin, he made him look okay with it. And now you take away your top target on a quarterback who's already kind of struggling this season. I mean, are you tanking? What's the motive behind that move? I really don't get it. I don't know.
I think it was just a front office. I mean, there was a relationship there because the Bills had defense coordinator just gone on to be the head coach over in Buffalo. So I think there was a relationship there where they had a mutual agreement that, hey, we got this asset, you got this asset. We feel good about both situations. That's why the trade happened. I think it was I'm losing the words. I'm sorry, but I think it was just that personal relationship that the former head coach or former defense coordinator had with the front office in Carolina that really pushed that trade through. I don't think it happens with any other team in the country.
Right.
And then if you're Buffalo, you traded away Sammy Watkins in the offseason, and now you're getting Kelvin Benjamin.
Right.
Obviously two different kinds of receivers, but Tyrod Taylor, he must be sitting back there and be like, okay, like they had a plan all along. Now that we've kind of put some wins together, they're starting to support me a little bit.
I feel like it really was okay, we might tank this season kind of thing for the Bills, but they just have been so unexpectedly good. They're like, well, you know what? Let's see how far we can take this and get Tyrod a couple weapons on offense. I mean, they had some young receivers, and they also got Jordan Matthews. He hasn't panned out, so now they're saying, we probably aren't going to be able to win as many games as we're winning right now if we don't do something about stepping up our offense, because they've been run first. After a while, it gets predictable. Stop LaShawn McCoy, and then you basically stop the entire offense. So now they say we're going to give Tyrod Taylor some weapons and Kelvin Benjamin and see how far we can take this. Hopefully, we can finally end our playoff drought.
Yeah, and LaShawn McCoy, he only has 546 yards rushing so far this season.
But I mean, he catches a lot of balls out the backfield, too. He's really like a stable part of their offense. Without him, I mean, I don't know the exact percentage, but I'm pretty sure you take away like more than half of their yards from scrimmage.
And then the last trade again involves the Buffalo Bills was Marcel Darius going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The rich just keep on getting richer if you're Jacksonville.
Jacksonville going to Super Bowl.
Oh man. Wait a minute.
Please continue.
Wait a minute.
Going to the Super Bowl and going to lose. You can't win with a quarterback named Blake Bortles, but
I mean, defense wins championships.
The Buccaneers won with a quarterback named Brad Johnson.
But
as much as I love Peyton, they won. Broncos won with Peyton.
Peyton Manning, what?
When he played in that last Super Bowl? Come on, man. You're not going to debate me. I love Peyton Manning.
They wheeled him onto the field and kind of like peeled him up. Had him stand.
Point being. You
can't win with a quarterback named
Blake Bortles. Okay.
There's actual physical evidence done on this that you can't your actual name. Listen, I got a column for you. All right, go check out Bill Simmons of the Ring. He's got a column about that you can't win with a quarterback named Blake Bortles. The syllabus, the actual way you pronounce his name keeps him from winning the Super Bowl.
Really?
It's wild. There's facts behind it.
All right, so Bill Simmons, we gave you a little bit of plug, so show some love for us next time. But overall, Jacksonville, just that defensive line was scary enough. And now Marcel Darius, top 3 draft pick, apparently just wasn't giving the Bills the effort that they wanted, and they got him for a 6th round pick.
6th round pick, I would do that trade any day.
Any
like,
day.
6th-round pick for Marcel Darius,
They
a
gave him
former
away.
Pro Bowler.
They
Like,
gave him away for a bag of chips.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. 'cause
Seriously.
That's a
I mean,
great
they
trade for
really
Jacksonville.
didn't want him. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, Jacksonville's trying to make some moves this year.
I mean, and then a couple other losers. I feel like the Patriots and the 49ers. That trade, nobody wins. Garoppolo
For a 2nd-round pick.
for a 2nd-round pick. I just don't. New England got a little bit of value out of him, but you know, Tom Brady. I love the man. He's still 40 years old.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna play another
No.
4 years? I hope he does, but having Garoppolo as your security blanket just made you sleep better at night as a
Right.
Patriots fan because he is really good.
I like it for the 49ers. I mean,
But the 49ers still have to pay him.
who?
He's still a free agent after the season, so they still need to negotiate an extension. So they could have traded a 2nd-round pick for nothing.
Very true, but I mean, you get to see how he is right now, and I mean, you basically gave up a 2nd-round pick. You probably would have gave up a 1st-round pick for a quarterback in this year's draft, anyways. But he gets to play. They get to see what they can get from him, and honestly, they can throw a ton of money at him if they really want him. I guess right now, what it is like a tryout.
Listen, I feel really bad for Mr. Garoppolo because he doesn't get the Oswald treatment. He has to actually go out there and prove that he could throw the football. He's about to get a huge
Yeah.
payday.
I mean, it's a
for
smart
getting
move.
hyped up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see how that works out for him.
It's like I feel like Belichick is smart because it's kind of like he's like, I'm not gonna just pay you for no reason. I want to see you prove it, and then he's gonna let him go play somewhere else and prove that he's worth the money before
Right.
he's like, okay, let's pay this guy to make him come back.
Just Bill doing Bill things. All right, so that wraps up the trade talk. Let's get into the Week 10 games.
I wanted to say who was a loser. Just the Browns, real quick. The Browns are losers because they could have made a trade for AJ McCarron. They didn't get it done because they just didn't sign something or didn't look at a piece of paper.
Well,
The
the
Browns
thing
keep
is
Browning.
that when you draft a quarterback in the 2nd round, you don't trade for another quarterback that's unproven.
Unless you're
That's
the Browns.
would be such a Browns thing to do.
Unless you're the Browns, and that's
All right.
what they're trying to do.
Let's get into the games. You know, Brooke's not here, so we don't really have to even talk about the Browns. You know, we just talked about the Browns, so she can be like, oh, the Browns stink. But no,
me.
oh, whoa, the Browns, blah. But now we don't have to talk about them at all. So let's not. So first game that we're going to be talking about: Green Bay Packers at Chicago Bears. I think this is the first time in recent memory that the Bears are favored
Absolutely.
5.5 points.
Absolutely.
Who you got?
Honestly, the Bears are not a team that I feel like are gonna dismantle the Packers, but I've seen nothing from Brent Hundley that's gonna make me feel like he can keep them in playoff contention. They just aren't the same team without Aaron Rodgers, and I mean anybody probably could have picked up on that. There's only one Aaron Rodgers. A 5.5-point line, though, I'm not sure that Chicago's good enough to do it unless they really give the ball a lot to Jordan Howard, and they throw the ball. A couple dump-off passes to Tariq Cohen. They can put it up. I'll go ahead and say that they will cover, but it could be a lot closer. But I have the Bears winning, which is something I haven't been able to say in years. The Bears winning over the Packers.
What are you thinking, Julian?
I'm thinking Packers over the Bears this week. I don't trust rookie quarterbacks. Jordan Howard has had a slow couple of weeks coming back in off the bye week. So I'm giving this Packers defense a vote of confidence. I think they've been playing relatively well. I think they do a good job scouting out this Bears defense. They play them twice a year every year. So I'm giving the Packers to win this week.
So I've got a fun stat. The Bears secondary is one of only 2 teams in the league that have not allowed a touchdown to a wide receiver in the past 4 games. So that means if you're going through the air, it's backfield. Does Montgomery have it?
Right.
I don't know. Or tight ends. Who the hell plays tight end?
Right.
Marcellus Bennett. Where you been, Marcellus, all season? Come back to New England. We love you.
He's ready to retire, man.
Yeah, I know, right? He's getting into his children coloring books. He's making it a career. But I think I'm gonna go with the Bears on this one. So I think the defense is better than people make it out to be.
Right. Definitely better, yeah.
And
Another fun
if they
fact-
can keep it on the ground.
Another fun fact about that Bears defense, aside from Antonio Brown, they haven't allowed a receiver to rank higher than 35th. So
Underrated defense.
absolutely, yeah.
And then you have an inexperienced quarterback playing on the road
Yeah.
at Soldier Field,
Yeah.
which is still a good atmosphere despite the Bears not having a great team.
Regardless how good or bad they are, the fans always show up at Soldier.
All right, let's move on. So Bears, Packers. We'll see how that goes. Second biggest game of the week, and it's a surprising one.
Right.
The Saints versus the Bills.
Yeah. Both teams are, like, shockingly good this year. I mean, like, the Saints, they didn't really do anything to address how poor their defense was in the offseason at least, but something's changed and that defense is just clicking now. You can't score points at will on them anymore. Even though they started off the season, I think, 0-2, and they gave up a lot of points in those first 2 games. They just turned it around, and they've won, like, 6 games in a row now. So, real great for them. The Bills, they're coming off a tough loss. They've been real scrappy all season. I mean, this is really going to be a good game, I feel like. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Bills. I think they'll bounce back. They didn't give LaShawn McCoy the ball enough last week, and I believe they're going to address that, obviously. They're going to give him the ball a ton more. And just because they also have Kelvin Benjamin, you got that extra weapon, you're going to experiment with it a little bit. You're going to try and get the ball to him downfield. And I think he's good enough to beat the Saints cornerbacks in one-on-one coverage, and again, he can go up and get that ball, so Tyrod just has to give him the targets.
Yeah, they didn't play him last week because of the short week when they got him on the trade. But, Bills had a big spotlight last week against the Dolphins, and they choked a little bit.
Yeah.
But, is that going to matter, Julian? Are the Buffalo Bills going to come back? Oh, sorry, against the Jets.
No, I got New Orleans Saints winning this game. They started season off great, six game winning streak, lost their last 2. 3 teams have done that, and they've all gone to the Super Bowl. So got the New Orleans Saints winning this game. They're doing a great job throwing the football this year. Alvin Kamara is having a great rookie season at running back. I think they go ahead and win this game just like the other 3 teams did, and go ahead and make that playoff run.
The Adrian Peterson distraction is gone. Drew Brees is looking more and more like himself every day. Yeah. It's going to come down to which weaker aspect of their defenses kind of gives. So the Bills have a bad pass defense.
Yeah.
The Saints have a bad run defense. Yeah. So you're looking at 2 teams where the Saints pass a lot, the Bills run a lot.
Yeah.
Which team gives more in that department? Can Shady McCoy make some big plays? I am saying no, and I'm going to put my faith in Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints to march into Buffalo while it's still a little warm in Buffalo to go and get a win.
Real little.
Next up, the Dallas Cowboys, even after their big win against Kansas City, are not favored against the Atlanta Falcons. They're giving 3 points. What do you got, Jude?
The Falcons, I've been saying it all season, they are not the same team. They're not as explosive offensively, even though it seems like everybody just keeps expecting them to flip the switch and, turn it back around. It just hasn't happened. And then on the other side, you got the Dallas Cowboys. They often look like one of the best offensive team in football. I mean, Dak Prescott's second year, I'm a huge believer in sophomore slump, but it's not affecting him in the least bit. Ezekiel Elliott, he's not slated to play, but they just always find a way to get it, delayed or revoked or something. Some sort of legal mumbo jumbo where he's gonna play. And even if he doesn't play, I mean, you've got Alfred Morris. He's not Ezekiel Elliott, but he's really good running the ball too. Like when he does get his touches, he averages a good amount of yards per carry. So it's not a huge drastic fall off. You still have a very reliable running back if Ezekiel doesn't play, but I'm still expecting him to play. I don't see how the Falcons can beat the Cowboys. I mean, the Falcons they have to figure some things out offensively. You have a lot of talent at every position, running back, quarterback, receiver, and you're just not able to do anything with any of it. I mean, I have no reason to pick the Falcons right now. I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
All right.
You have no reason to pick the Falcons because they're going through that Super Bowl depression. Everybody's sick. They're still sitting at 25 points. It's painful.
It is.
Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott has Olivia Pope in his corner. Every single charge. That's what I like. It goes back to, just being worried. Just a little bit tinge that they might have that legal issue. Boy can ball. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm surprised that after the Cowboys' performance last week against Kansas City that they come out and they're not favored against the 4-4 Falcons. So I'm going to go Cowboys as well. Chick-fil-A is not open on Sundays, and neither is the Falcons' defense. So I think the Cowboys are going to take it. All right, next game on the list. Seattle Seahawks visit the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday night. Seattle is getting 6 points.
6 point. Yeah, I mean, sounds about right. You're playing with your backup quarterback. Arizona is. How old is he? 32, 33-year-old running back. You just had to give him 37 carries in a game in order for you to edge out a win. I mean, defensively, they're okay, middle of the road. They're not the Arizona Cardinals that they used to be at all. Offensively, they're not throwing the ball. They're going to force the ball to Adrian Peterson, as they clearly showed in the last game. And then the Seahawks, they lost last week, didn't they? Yeah, they lost last week to the Redskins, but I fully believe that they'll bounce back. This is a game for them to bounce back. I want to see how Adrian Peterson how he feels coming off a game where he's had the most carries he's ever had in a game in his career, especially at his, seasoned age. Seasoned age, yeah. So
he's only a little bit older than us, though.
Maybe
but we're not rushing.
A little bit older than you.
We're not rushing 37 times a game. I'm looping you into this.
I'm not carrying the ball 37 times a game, So I feel like the Seahawks defense, they're going to pressure him. They're going to pressure that quarterback all game. They're going to force him to give it to Adrian Peterson, and then they're going to stuff the run as well. Yeah. This should be a great defensive game for the Seahawks, and I fully expect them to cover that 6 points.
I'll tell you, it's going to be a terrible game to watch, one. Only because both teams hate Thursday nights. Richard Sherman has been complaining about Thursday night football games for the past 3 years.
What does he not complain about?
Yeah, but I think this is a reasonable complaint. And then Arizona, they fed, like we've been talking about it, Adrian Peterson getting those 37 touches just to edge out a win. He's tired. He's hurt. He's not going to play well Thursday. I'll give you that one right away. So I'm giving this one to the Seahawks. They're going to go ahead, like you said, pressure the quarterback, stuff the run, get out of there with a win.
Yeah, I don't disagree with either of you. The jerseys are going to be ugly as hell for Seattle on Thursday with the color rush. There's going to be a lot of lime green, I think. Yeah. So it may not be worth watching just because of that. Just because of that. Like, see what college football game's on. But I think Seattle, the offense, I don't understand what's going on. The score after the first quarter against the Redskins was 2-0.
Yeah.
Like, that's gross. Like, score some points. Figure it out.
And it's crazy because, the week before, they looked like they were hitting on all cylinders.
I know.
They come out and lay a dud.
I know. But it's hard to pick against them against the Cardinals. Yeah. You never put your faith in Drew Stanton. Yeah. I don't know how the Cardinals have been doing it for so long. All right. Next game. Redskins-Vikings. An interesting one. Yeah. Fun fact, actually. This was the matchup between me and our friend Tommy Farrell on Sunday night after Saltine Warrior in Madden, where Tommy claimed that he was going to kick my behind, and yet we had a 21-0 mercy after the first quarter.
Yeah? Who are you?
I was the Vikings.
Oh, okay.
Despite my luck with the Vikings and Case Keenum at the helm, Latavius Murray ran all over him. I'm picking the Redskins. Just ran all over him, rumbling, stumbling. I'm picking the Redskins. Julian, we're hitting to you first. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Vikings this week, only because Bridgewater's back in. I think he's going to be ready to go. He's going to have fresh legs, fresh arms.
Is he starting? I know he got activated off IR, but is he starting?
I think he's going to get to start over
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum? He might. I believe he will, only because I don't think Case Keenum's playing all that well, and I think he's still been dealing with a couple injury problems himself. So I think if he's fresh, he gets to start. If not, I still take the Vikings just because I don't trust this Redskins pass defense right now.
Right.
They've struggled to get at the line scrimmage. They like to press teams. I've seen them get beat, especially with quick receivers like Stephon Diggs and the dude with the yellow gloves. Don't know his name in college.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen, whatever his name is. Big, strong white guy. I love it. They're doing a great job at the receiver end. So I think they challenge the secondary and get the win this week.
I'm with you, Julian. Redskins pass defense hasn't been that good. Running the ball, they're terrible running the ball. Pass game, is barely there as well. Kirk Cousins, he's not looking like Kirk Cousins of old. They managed to pull out a...
Can I talk about Kirk Cousins real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Good. All right. I got this one gripe with Kirk. I think he is the most overrated quarterback in history.
The history of the NFL. The dude wins games.
I have this issue with Kirk Cousins. I just feel like he's being pushed to being this great quarterback that deserves so much money, but I still see him as this middle of the road quarterback. He's gonna get way overpaid after the season.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you.
Agree with that.
I'm with you. Yeah.
He's gonna come out with the market, just have this huge contract, and he's gonna.
It's a quarterback market, man.
You know who he reminds me of is like a Matt Stafford. Whereas like he's gonna put up numbers in some games and he's gonna win you games, but he's never gonna take you to that next step. And Matt Stafford is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
Matt Stafford been giving people sauce lately.
I would take Stafford over
The
Cousins,
Lions are
though.
still 4-4.
I mean, the Lions are just...
They haven't been to an NFC Championship under Matt Stafford. They haven't been to a Super Bowl.
They're just destined for mediocrity. That's not on Stafford. That's just a curse of the Lions.
You could say the same thing about the Redskins. Like, Kirk Cousins doesn't necessarily lose you games. But we can't spend this much time on Kirk Cousins. We can't spend this time.
Bottom line, I'm going with the Vikings.
All right, going with the Vikings. I'm taking the Redskins. The Kirk Cousins hate, unbelievable. So, all right, we got to go rapid fire round. You get one thought per game as to why you picked who you picked. I will cut you off.
Cut us off.
I will cut you off.
I'm here for it.
All right, LA Chargers at Jacksonville. Jacksonville favored by 4. Who you got?
I got Jacksonville because the running back is amazing. It's amazing. I think it's amazing.
We will have a beep on that. This is what happens when you put someone under pressure. The F-bombs come flying. Anyway.
The F is just...
It's the alliteration.
Yeah.
It's the alliteration. All right, dude, who you got?
I got the Jaguars. That defense is playing phenomenally. They'll continue the same against the Chargers.
Jacksonville, poor Phillip Rivers. He's going to be tortured on Sunday. All right, Sunday night. Ooh, Sunday night.
I'm going to cut you off right there. Let's get to it.
Patriots, Broncos.
Let's go with Patriots. I mean, Broncos, you saw what they did last week.
I love it.
Defensively, they'll rebound, but offensively, still got too many questions.
Patriots because Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Patriots, Tom Brady is the GOAT. And Denver stinks. I hate Denver. Almost as much as I hate the Ravens. All right, Titans, Bengals. Titans. Getting 4.5.
Titans.
Taking Titans. I like the run game.
Titans. All right, Colts, Steelers. Steelers getting 10 points.
Steelers.
Taking the Colts because Jacoby Brissett is my boy.
All right, I think the
You're making bad decisions.
Steelers are going to win, but the Colts will cover. Panthers, Dolphins. Panthers getting 10.
I'll take Panthers, but the Dolphins are going to cover. The Panthers are not good enough to put 10 points up on anybody.
Yep. Who you got?
Panthers because the Dolphins are terrible.
All right, Panthers. Another terrible Monday night game for ESPN to air. All right, so San Francisco against the Giants. The Giants miraculously are favored in this one, 1.5 points. Who you got, Jude?
This is going to be San Francisco's first win. Listen, you said I get 1 point. I'm going to give you the 1 point. I'm going to give you. I get 1 point, so I'm going to give you the 1 point. Our producer's telling us to wrap it up, but I got to say, they flat out gave up last week. Whenever a team gives up, that means they're just waiting for the offseason to come, and that's what they're doing right now. So right now, I feel like San Francisco is just hungrier for a win, and they're going to get it in this game.
I can't wait to put like a baby crying.
Oh, that's not crying. I gave you facts.
All right.
Julian, I just gave you facts.
We're just saying teams at this point.
San Francisco, New York wants to go to Miami.
49. I'll take the 49ers. Jimmy Hall of Fame Garoppolo gets the win. Jets, Bucks, and in an embarrassing spread, the Jets are favored 2.5 points.
Jets.
Fitz
tragic.
Oh, Fitz tragic. Lions, Browns. Lions 12.5 point favorites. The biggest spread of the week.
Browns keep browning, and they're gonna let the Lions get that spread.
Browns keep browning.
All right, last one. Rams against the extremely unlucky Houston Texans. Rams are favored by 12 points.
Man, they haven't been the same since J.J. Watt went down. It's going to continue the same now that Deshaun Watson has gone down. L.A. Rams. And you know what? They're going to go ahead and cover the 12 points too.
Yep.
Injury bug is deep in them Houston Chiefs. I got the Rams.
All right, I'm gonna take the Rams. The Rams. Anytime that I've picked against the Rams, they've won. So I'm gonna take the Rams. But I do feel bad for the Texans. The Astros took all the juju in Houston. All right, so let's move on to fantasy this week with the scoop.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. and there's nothing you can do about it.
Studs and duds. Jude, let's go through this quick. Quarterbacks, who's your stud, who's your dud?
They're playing the Browns. Who do you think is going to be my stud? Anybody who's playing against the Browns, they're set for a day. I'm going to go ahead and go with Matthew Stafford. He's coming off his best game of the season. He's going to let that roll into the second game with a great matchup against the Browns. I mean, he's going to toss it all over them. And for my dud, I know it looks like this guy's going to be a stud because he has a great matchup against the Colts. But Ben Roethlisberger, he has been terrible this season. Well, not terrible, but he's been very lethargic, very mediocre. And then on top of that, he's playing on the road. He's been even worse on the road. I think the Colts are going to do just enough to make it a bad day for Ben.
I'm just seeing how long you're going to lie to the camera.
These are all facts, baby.
All right, my studs and duds. I got Drew Brees going up against the Bills. I think he's going to have a big day. And then I'm just going to loop these in because they're the same team, so I don't have to talk about the same game twice. Cool. I think Michael Thomas is going to have a big day as well. He's been, like, painfully average all season, like 10 to 13 points a game. I think this is a multi-touchdown, 8 receptions, 120-yard game for Michael Thomas. And then my dud for quarterback, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
I can't even tell you how frustrating Cam Newton has been for me this year on fantasy. Every time he's on my bench, 20 points.
Up, yeah.
Every time he's in my starting lineup, he gets 10 points. Thank God I played Tyler like a couple weeks ago because like her team is horrible. Sorry, Tyler, but horrible. And so Cam getting those like minimal points didn't matter, but holy smokes. Julian.
I get a dud and a stud? Oh, man, okay, bet. My stud this week, Jacoby Brissett for the Colts.
Oh, man.
My man.
I love it. It's
and
loyal.
The duds, I'm going to have to go with, he got injured, though, so it's not really a dud, but I hate doing it to the injury, but, you know, the little finger-chewing thing, you got to go, big dog. Jameis Winston, my dud this week, quarterback.
Jameis is out, baby.
Jameis is out.
Doesn't that make you a dud?
Indeed it does. On to running backs.
Right.
On to running backs. Jude.
I've got Carlos Hyde. Whenever you got a new quarterback, it's going to take a while for him to get started. So they're going to have to run the ball a little bit more, probably more than they want to.
Okay.
So Hyde is going to benefit off of that. Dud, I mean, we pretty much spoke about it already, the whole show. AP, you're not going to have the same performance you had last week. You're going to be a dud this week, buddy. I love you, though.
All right. Todd Gurley for me is going to be the stud of the week. That man just keeps on grinding. Yeah. He's an awesome player, both in the air and on the ground. Yeah. He's doing it all for the Rams. Yeah. Making what's his face Goff look pretty good.
Goff is pretty good. Hell of a bounce back season.
And then dud, I got Mark Ingram. Ooh. So I think they are going to keep it up in the air. Buffalo's run defense is pretty good. Yeah. So I think you're going to see more of Alvin Kamara this week than you will of Mark Ingram. Yeah.
I only got one stud for running backs. Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers running back. No one wanted to talk about him. No one wanted to pick him up. He's on my fantasy team. He's been giving people buckets all season long. Yards every week. Great running back. Love what he's doing. So.
All right. I already gave you my stud for wide receivers. Dud, Dougie Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin.
Because you know who's going to be all over him this week?
Who's that?
Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
He's going to be a ghost this week.
Well, I guess I could have looped it together, but I like the stack you had there. I'm going with Marvin Jones over Golden Tate. Marvin Jones, he's not going to get as many targets, but he's going to get those shots in the end zone and the downfield throws. For my dud, I'm going T.Y. Hilton. Went off last week, but that's what he does. Like every 4 games, he'll have a really good game where you're like, wow, you should do that every week, and then the next game he just kind of
I was thinking about you seeing T.Y. Hilton go off.
Well,
I was happy.
This is the game. This is a much improved Steelers secondary. They're going to be all over him. T.Y. Hilton, you're going to have to slow it down, baby.
Who's on your radar, Julian?
Got a stud, Robert Woods from L.A. He's doing very well. He's playing very good football right now. 6 targets, 6 catches, 12 points in my fantasy league last week. Sammy Watkins is my dud. He actually had 1 catch that gave me 13 points, 1 catch, 67 yards, and a touchdown. But I'm giving him a dud for this week because he's only getting very few targets. 2 targets for the last 3 weeks. He's not capitalizing.
Sammy Watkins, tight end. Gronk, baby.
Gronk.
Stud. And then my dud's going to be Cameron Brate. I'm not touching any part of Tampa Bay this week.
Gotcha. Evan Ingram, he's probably the lone bright spot for the Giants this season. Eli has to throw it somewhere. He's going to be throwing it to him. Julius Thomas, disappearing act all year. He finally showed up last season. Don't expect it to be something that continues. He's going to be a dud this week.
Yeah, Julius Thomas, like, talk about a guy falling from
Falling
grace.
off. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
seriously. All right.
Rookies, I got 2 rookies at tight end. Evan Ingram, my stud. He's been balling, having a great season. And then O.J. Howard from the Bucks is my dud this week.
All right. We're not even going to do defense. I want to go to the waiver wonder of the week. And
Who cares
I'm
about
actually
defense?
nobody, apparently not the NFL. So the waiver wonder of the week, I had actually Julian Stud,
Yeah.
Robert Woods. Pick that man up. Him and Jared Goff have a good thing going over in LA.
Gotcha. Mine is going to be Curtis Samuel. Each week he's coming on a little bit more and more. Now that they got Kelvin Benjamin traded away, he kind of has to produce a lot more than he has been. So I feel like he's going to be ready to step into that slot role and get a lot more targets, a lot more touches.
All right, Julian.
I've been talking about him all day long. Jacob Brissett is my waiver wire pick of the week. Only because I have real reasons now. 20 points last week on ESPN Fantasy League. I am saying he's a very talented kid. Go ahead and pick that boy up if you need a quarterback real quick. Especially if you had...
You on his PR team, man?
Yeah, seriously.
He paying you?
He's not paying me.
Paying you, man.
paying you?
Who paying you, man?
You from Midland?
You from Midland?
I'm trying to give y'all this good information. Y'all trying to talk about who getting paid right now. I'm trying to get y'all boys right. So you might as well pick up my dog. You know what I'm saying? Pick him up.
And that will do it for this week on the Gridiron. Have fun watching Week 8. Probably want to miss Thursday and Monday, but Sunday's going to be a great day. I'm Matt St. Jean for Jude Alum and Julian Wiggum.
Follow
Brooke,
me.
we missed you,
No,
but
we
not that much.
Oh, my God.
We'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.